process was slow, deliberate, and required years of training. Only the wealthiest and most powerful could afford to own even a single book. For the elite, possessing a manuscript was not just a sign of education, but a symbol of privilege and authority. A wealthy noble's small collection was a mark of immense status. A handful of volumes could set a family apart for generations. Even great centers of learning, like universities, might hold just a few hundred manuscripts, far fewer than a modern classroom. Each book was a unique work of art, taking months or years to produce. Illuminated manuscripts dazzled with gold leaf and vibrant colors, their pages filled with intricate illustrations and careful calligraphy. Knowledge moved slowly, controlled by a select few, passed from hand to hand in guarded circles of scholars, clergy, and nobility. Most people lived their entire lives without ever seeing a book. For peasants and townsfolk, the written word was a distant mystery, something reserved for others. Instead, oral traditions, sermons, and the rhythms of the seasons shaped the worldview of the majority. Stories, legends, and religious teachings were passed down by word of mouth, generation after generation. Manuscripts were so valuable that a single illuminated Bible could be worth as much as a house or even more. These books were often locked away, protected as precious treasures. Scribes, often monks, labored for years in dim scriptoriums, copying texts by hand. Mistakes and errors crept in, sometimes changing the meaning of a passage for generations to come. The materials, parchment, ink, and gold leaf, were expensive and difficult to obtain, ensuring that books remained the property of the church and aristocracy, locked away from the common people. For most, history was a collection of stories, science a blend of observation and folklore, and religious doctrine unchallenged. The boundaries of knowledge were set by tradition and authority. The power to define truth rested with those who controlled these rare manuscripts. To possess a book was to hold a key to influence, to shape minds and beliefs. News and ideas traveled slowly, often distorted as they passed from person to person. The world was tightly bound by the limits of what could be remembered and retold. It was a silent, ordered world on the brink of a revolution that would change everything. The age of information scarcity was about to end, and with it the dawn of a new era for knowledge and humanity. Before Gutenberg, making a book was a painstaking, slow, and highly specialized craft, rooted in centuries of tradition and devotion. Books were created by skilled scribes, most often monks, who dedicated their lives to the art of copying text by hand, sometimes working in silence for hours. Each page was carefully transcribed on vellum, fine parchment, and every letter was explained with precision and detail. A single Bible could take years to write, sometimes even the cost of releasing a book was immense, not just in the countless hours of labor, but in the expensive material involved, dazzling vellum, only the wealthiest institutions were For most people, owning a book was an unimaginable luxury. The fragility of the system was clear. A single fire in a monastery or library could erase generations of scholarship, wiping out deep work forever. Manual copying was also prone to human error. Mistakes crept in, and as copies were made into copies, these errors multiplied, sometimes distorting the original meaning of the important text. There was no single standard version of a text, just a patchwork of unique, sometimes flawed manuscripts, each with its own quirks and variations. For the vast majority, access to information was seamless. Knowledge was passed down orally, mediated by clergy, institutions, or governments. Most people heard stories and laws rather than reading them for themselves. This reliance on authority figures for information fostered a independent thought. The world of ideas was a wall of art, accessible only to a special few. The process was knowledge moved slowly, innovation was stifled by the limits of manual reproduction. Scholars and thinkers longed for a faster, more reliable way to share knowledge. The world was on the brink of change. The stage was set for a technological revolution that would transform society forever. The invention of the printing press would soon break down these barriers, making books more accessible than ever before. The age of the scribe was drawing to a close, as a new era of mass communication dawned. A new era was about to begin, one that would change the world in ways no one could have imagined. Johannes Gutenberg, a goldsmith from Munich, Germany, changed history with his invention of movable type around 1440. His breakthrough was casting individual, reusable metal letters, allowing for mass production of uniform type. Gutenberg's handheld mold made power made typecasting super precise. Typesetters could arrange letters to form pages, printing, and then reuse the type for new pages. This modular system was Europe into the modern era. Gutenberg's press was a marvel of engineering and teamwork. Typesetters assembled lines of metal letters in reverse, locked them into a frame, and prepared the page for printing. Inkers applied special ink to the type, and a sheet of damp paper was pressed onto it using a screw mechanism. The result, a crisp, identical impression every time. The team could print hundreds of pages a day, an unimaginable feat to the scribe's taste. Every copy was a perfect replica, eliminating centuries of scribal errors. Books became standardized, reliable, and far more accessible. The press transformed books from rare artifacts into mass-produced commodities. Gutenberg's invention unleashed a flood of information. Book production soared from thousands of manuscripts a year to millions of printed volumes within decades. By 1500, presses operated in over 250 European cities, producing around 20 million books. The cost of books plummeted, making them accessible to merchants, professionals, and scholars. A vibrant publishing industry with printers and editors and distributors. Knowledge production decentralized, no longer would never be the same. The invention of the printing press was a turning point that amplified the Renaissance, making classical works widely available for the first time in history. Suddenly, knowledge that had once been locked away in monasteries or private collections could be shared with anyone who could read. Scholars no longer had to travel great distances to study rare manuscripts. Instead, they could own printed editions of Plato, Cicero, or Aristotle, and consult them at their leisure. This shift made learning more personal and accessible than ever before. This new accessibility fueled a vibrant, continent-wide conversation among humanists who could now build on each other's work, share discoveries, and debate ideas in ways that were previously impossible. The press created what became known as the Republic of Letters, a vast network that connected thinkers across Europe, allowing them to correspond, collaborate, and challenge each other's views. New ideas in art, architecture, and science spread rapidly through printed treatises and beautifully illustrated books, inspiring creativity and innovation in every field. Artists and scientists could now study innovations from afar, compare techniques, and learn from the best minds of their age. This helped standardize knowledge and fostered a unified intellectual culture that spanned borders. The press nurtured individualism and critical inquiry, encouraging people to question traditions, seek their own answers, and develop new perspectives on the world around them. Access to diverse sources empowered thinkers to compare, analyze, and innovate, sparking a spirit of curiosity and debate that would shape the modern world. The Renaissance flourished as never before, driven by the power of the printed word and the exchange of revolutionary ideas. The tools for reshaping the world were now in everyone's hands, opening the door to a new era of knowledge, creativity, and progress. The printing press was the engine of the Protestant Revolution. Martin Luther's The Catholic Church struggled to keep up, losing control of the narrative. The press empowered individuals to interpret faith for themselves. The balance of power in Europe was forever changed. inventions